Morning on the 5th floor of the building. But as Julian said earlier, the good news is no injuries have been reported in this. And we know that because of the fire, the tracks in Redwood City, some trains are experiencing delays in that area. So we're definitely seeing and hearing about the widespread impacts that are going on. We see that the fire has just grown. Just in the last few minutes of Drew kind of explaining how that might happen, and here we are seeing that exactly.
And the darker we see that smoke become, which just kind of happened in the last few seconds here, that means the worse the air quality is going to be in that area. So if you are in the area there in Redwood City or south and east of this area in San Mateo County, as Drew mentioned, you will want to be aware of the air quality, potentially even close your windows if you have them open so some of this nasty smoke, really bad air, doesn't get inside of your home. We want to keep you up to date on what we're learning about this structure. We told you about 45 minutes ago that this appears to have been an affordable housing complex that was under construction. We're learning that this housing project was called Middlefield Junction with roughly 180 units, about 20 of them said to be earmarked for people who were experiencing homelessness. Also, it was supposed to have a child care center there as well. Construction apparently started last summer 2023. And again, we are watching, unfortunately, this building go up in flames. If you're here in the Bay Area, you know just how difficult it is to get virtually anything built. So to see this affordable housing complex that was meant to be able to house people that have a tough time paying for mortgage, paying for rent, or folks that were experiencing homelessness go up in flames is really something that's pretty sad to see here. But again, we see those firefighters in this 8-alarm fire responding to this intense blaze that we're watching here in Redwood City. We've seen some scaffolding giving way to the intense flames and falling down, as well as some of that construction material over the course of the last 45 minutes as we've been bringing you this live here on Midday Live. We do want to mention that we are continuing to stick with this, expanding our coverage through the end of Midday Live. And if you were expecting to see GMA3, what you need to know right now, we are continuing to follow this breaking news of this massive fire burning there in Redwood City. This is unfolding in about the 2700 block of Middlefield Road. We're hearing from the San Mateo County Sheriff's deputies that if you are in the area of Calvin Avenue and Pacific Avenue, you need to get out of your home now. I imagine at this point, many of those sheriff's deputies have reached those homes and gotten those folks out of the way.
Yeah, and we saw less than an hour ago the sheriff's office did expand that evacuation order to also include Dumbarton Avenue. Again, as Julian mentioned, the 2700 block of Middlefield Road, the location was a former recycling facility which was demolished back in 2015. Now the site of that construction site, we talked a lot about just the raw material that is going up in flames now. We're hearing from plenty of viewers in the surrounding cities as well. We've seen images from Menlo Park showing just that black smoke billowing from that specific area. Wind gusts at 30 miles per hour. You see on the screen there, 29 miles per hour live is what we're seeing now. But because of this large fire, we also know that it's impacting some of the Caltrain operations. They're seeing delays. And so if that's something that you rely on, that's something to keep in mind as crews continue to battle this massive fire in Redwood City.
We want to get back to meteorologist Drew Tuma for more on how the winds, the relative humidity are all affecting this firefight that we're seeing there, Drew.
Yeah, hey guys, I just want to take you to the latest map that we have when it comes to the winds. We're going to widen out the picture, so to speak. So here's the fire itself right here on the 2700 block of Middlefield Road. And what we have on our map are the wind barbs, basically the way the wind is traveling. So you have the fire up here. We have these winds winds out of the northwest. You can see they're gusting close to 30 miles per hour. That's why you see all these wind barbs on your screen moving very quickly. So let's talk about first where the direction the smoke is going. So you have the fire here, and then you have the winds traveling in this direction. So we're seeing smoke certainly in Menlo Park. We are getting reports of smoke over Palo Alto, some reports of that smoke in East Palo Alto, and some of that smoke is making it as far south and east as Mountain View. So those are some of the areas where our air quality sensors have really dipped into the moderate, if not unhealthy category. And these are some of the same places that firefighters are most certainly watching for any of those rogue embers to go into the air. Those embers are most certainly going to follow this wind pattern. So folks, if you're watching us and you live in some of these areas like Menlo Park, Palo Alto, East Palo Alto, you do want to stay vigilant over the next several hours because we do have this fire that is raging in Redwood City. And under these windy conditions, it's not out of the question that we could see some of these embers get launched and travel several miles to the south and east. So that's something we're watching very closely. But like Julian alluded to, relative humidity, it is on the high side, so that's good for firefighters, but it's these winds that are associated with a cold front that are really just pushing this fire to breathe more and more. Of course, fires have oxygen, wind gives these fires oxygen, and that's kind of what we're seeing at this point. So again, just folks, if you're in Menlo Park, Palo Alto, even Mountain View, you're most certainly smelling the smoke at the very least. You may look outside up at the sky, and the sky does look a little smoky. Just be aware of that. And then we are watching those areas very closely for any of these embers that could potentially travel, again, downwind of the fire and potentially start a new fire as firefighters battle this fire we're currently watching, guys.
Thank you so much, Drew. We want to get back to the live images of the fire here again as we just continue to watch the fire rise higher and higher into the sky right now, and also that thick, dark gray, nearing black color of the smoke that is billowing from that fire right now. If you're just joining our breaking news coverage, we'll catch you up to speed on what's been unfolding here. This structure that you see was an affordable housing complex that was under construction, about 180 units. We're hearing that construction started in the summer of last year. You can see they were making good progress on building the structure there, but now this thing is up in flames. We're hearing that the fire started on the 5th floor of this apartment complex around 10:15 this morning. The local sheriff's deputies there in San Mateo County now calling this an 8-alarm fire. That means all fire engines that are available in the area are responding to this fire to help try and knock things out. We're also hearing about evacuation orders that have been in place for about the last at least 45 minutes, perhaps close to an hour now, trying to get people that live nearby the 2700 block of Middlefield Road, where this building is, especially along Pacific Avenue and Calvin Avenue, to evacuate. Those deputies were going door to door to get people out of the area. We've been also hearing about the impact to Caltrain in that area.
Yeah, and so Caltrain riders can expect some delays because of all of the activity in this area. And when we talk about the area, we're talking about a residential area, we're talking about businesses in the area. We know that several viewers from neighboring cities have written in talking about having seen this big column of smoke go up, and we just know that when it comes to a construction site, there is plenty of raw material and room for this fire to grow, and we have seen that in the last few minutes alone. We're talking about 10:15 is when this fire ignited, so we're coming up here on 2 hours. We know that they are considering this an 8-alarm fire. We're seeing plenty of resources dedicated here. Again, that black smoke billowing, you see that on the right side of your screen. This is a live look at exactly what's going on. Plenty of activity, especially on the 2700 block of Middlefield Road. Just to go through it again, if you know someone who maybe lives in the area, we know that evacuation orders have expanded, again, to include Dumbarton Avenue, specifically Pacific Avenue and Calvin Avenue. People living in that area have been asked to evacuate. Deputies have been spending time going door to door to get people out. And so it all started at this building. It's a building that's under construction, and we're just keeping an eye on the growth of this fire as it expands. Wind, we know, is a challenge for the all of the responders really in the area. We talked a lot and followed some of the breaking news out of San Jose just yesterday about how an ember from one fire at a home there traveled about a distance of a block and a half and ignited 2 other homes. And we know that that is definitely a threat here because of the fire that we're seeing. You can see a lot of the trees even moving in the wind. You can imagine how powerful the fire is just looking at it and what those embers might do, especially the ones that are coming off of this construction site. We've seen the scaffolding impacted as well, just because of the sheer force of this fire that continues to grow at this hour. Again, we're coming up on 2 hours since it was first ignited on the 5th floor of this building under construction on the 2700 block of Middlefield Road in Redwood City.
We are getting some more information on the impacts in that area. Caltrain tweeting out just moments ago that due to a fire near the tracks in Redwood City, some trains are experiencing delays. Train 114 holding at Redwood City and 115 holding at Menlo Park. Train 508 southbound is running about 5 minutes late, approaching Menlo Park. So if you were streaming us on the ABC 7 News Bay Area mobile app, we're giving you this information perhaps as you're waiting for a train there with Caltrain, letting you know about how this fire is impacting their operations. Another update now coming in from Samtrans Alert saying that there's currently a bus bridge in place from Redwood City to Menlo Park for Caltrain riders affected by this. We will be honoring all Caltrain tickets at this time. So looks like they plan on holding those trains there in Redwood City, in Menlo Park for a while as they use buses to get around this mess that we're seeing here. Again, we continue to watch these live images of this large fire that has been burning at this construction site in Redwood City, coming up on 2 hours now, as the flames show no signs of slowing down as firefighters try and knock this thing down. We are getting a good look at the current wind speeds from Drew's weather graphics and his maps right now. Those wind gusts about 21 miles per hour, down from what we were seeing of about 30 miles per hour when we first broke in and started reporting on this about an hour ago. So some good news there, that hopefully those winds will continue to slow down and ease any fears of embers traveling from this fire to nearby structures or even some of the potential brush that we have in this area surrounding Redwood City.
And we know that the sheriff's office has called the wind a challenge there. The site that is burning, as Julian mentioned, is meant to be an affordable housing project called Middlefield Junction with roughly 180 units. About 20 are earmarked for people who are unhoused. The building is also supposed to have a child care center. We know that construction started just last summer. The location there on the 2700 block of Middlefield Road was a former recycling facility, which was demolished back in 2015. So just when you think about this specific footprint that we're seeing on fire now, it is surrounded by a residential area. It is surrounded also by multiple businesses on Middlefield Road, which we know is an ulterior road through Redwood City, and we are hearing from viewers in neighboring cities about just witnessing this large column of smoke go up. You can see just the active flames there. We have in the last 2 hours watched some of that scaffolding also start to fall because of the power of those flames, that heat, I'm sure, just coming off of the raw material that we're seeing completely engulfed at that construction site. If you are just joining us here at 12:13, we're coming up on exactly 2 hours since this fire first ignited. What we're learning is that it may have ignited on the 5th floor of this construction site that is burning on the 2700 block of Middlefield Road. Evacuation orders were expanded at around 11:18 to then include the Dumbarton Avenue area. And if you live in the area also encompassing Pacific Avenue and Calvin Avenue, you have been asked to evacuate. Certainly that, hopefully, has already happened for you because deputies have been going door to door to get people really out of the area that is being impacted by this massive fire at a construction site.
We are, again, continuing to stick with this breaking news story here in Redwood City of this large apartment complex that was under construction that's been on fire for about 2 hours now. We're hoping to get an additional update from the sheriff's deputies, the fire crews that have been battling this fire for the last couple of hours. We know this fire started at around 10:15 this morning on the 5th floor of this apartment complex, and the smoke there continues to kind of obscure our view. You can see this thick, hazy smoke in this area. We are also learning about impacts to travel there in the San Mateo County area close to Redwood City. Caltrain holding trains there in Menlo Park and Redwood City, I imagine, until things clear up a bit more. There is currently a bus bridge in place by Samtrans to help those riders that might be trying to get around San Mateo County that were depending on Caltrain to get to where they need to be. But again, we have been watching this effort to knock down this fire for quite some time now there in Redwood City. The good news that we're able to report right now is that there are no reports of injuries. We imagine that there were construction workers that were probably on site this morning. So it's good to hear that none of them have been injured in this fire. And so far from our last update from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, it appears that no firefighters had been injured in battling these flames either. Large response from firefighters there in San Mateo County, an 8-alarm fire. Essentially, you don't have to be a fire expert to know what that means. That means that all available units in the area are being called to assist to try and get this thing under control. One thing we've been curious about is if they are using, we've seen a bit of an offensive stance, trying to put as much water as possible on this housing structure to stop the flames from spreading. We are beginning to see a bit more scaffolding fall there in the distance as we watch this fire continue to make its way as it rips through this apartment building that was under construction. We check back in now with Drew Tuma.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm just looking at those images that are live on the left-hand side of your screen. You are seeing less flame, let's say, than 5 minutes ago, and the smoke is not nearly as thick and dark as it was about 5 minutes ago. So that'd be an indication that maybe firefighters are getting a better handle on this right now, which would be encouraging news. But again, we're still looking at those winds. That smoke is not going straight up in the air. That means the winds are still active. Out of the northwest, they are gusting still to 21 miles per hour. But still, on the live images that are coming out of Redwood City right now, you can still see some active flames. Certainly, the fire is nowhere near out, but it does look a little less aggressive than it did, say, 5 minutes ago. But we are just continuing to watch areas that are downwind of this fire. So we'll just kind of widen out the map even more. We were looking at air quality sensors up and down the peninsula and into the South Bay, and we are seeing that smoke traveling down through Palo Alto, down into Mountain View, and even as far south now as Sunnyvale and Santa Clara. So our sensors, our air quality sensors, even as far south and east as Santa Clara, picking up on the smoke at this hour. So we're certainly seeing this smoke travel a very far distance, tens of miles away from the original fire. And you can see those winds again out of the northwest, those barbs you see on the right-hand side of your screen on the weather map indicating the wind and the wind direction. The more of those streamlines you see, the stronger the winds. So we are watching those areas downwind of the fire. But again, those live images you are looking at on the left-hand side of your screen, when the smoke becomes a little less thick and a little more white in nature, that means firefighters are likely getting a bit of a better handle on it. You saw those images maybe 5 minutes ago. Those flames were quite vicious. You can still see them right now through the scaffolding, through the raw materials of that apartment complex. That is certainly giving off still a lot of energy. There's still a lot of energy it could work with in those raw materials. But we are, of course, watching those areas downwind because you guys have been talking about the embers, where they could travel. And we're highlighting those towns. We're watching Menlo Park very closely, Palo Alto very closely, because we don't want any of those embers to travel downwind of the fire. But again, the conditions do have that smoke traveling as far south as Santa Clara, guys. So you may be smelling that smoke up and down the peninsula and then down into the South Bay.
Yeah, and Drew, we have viewers calling in. A woman who lives about 4 miles away from where this is burning. She is describing ash falling in her backyard. She really wanted to let us know. And that's something people are are keeping their eyes on. I mean, we just yesterday had a story about 3 buildings, 3 homes in San Jose being impacted by a home that was on fire about a block and a half away, and an ember traveling in that wind to another home. In all, 3 homes were impacted with that, and that again is the San Jose fire that I was talking about on Quimby Road in East San Jose. But right now we want to get back to what's going on in Redwood City. We have ABC 7 News South Bay reporter Zach Fuentes live for us. Zach, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm standing off to the side of the camera here so we can continue to bring you this look of the fire. We're seeing the flames, kind of like Drew said, calming down a little bit, but there is just so much smoke, still absolutely some flames in this building, this newer building right now. We're not, thankfully, in the path of the smoke, but I heard you mention just a moment ago, the woman who said that ash is coming in her backyard. You can absolutely see how that would be true when you see the path of the smoke and really what's coming from that smoke. These buildings here, it looks like it might be 2 buildings, but it's all part of one project called the Middlefield Junction. It was an affordable housing project. About a year ago, the county, San Mateo County, was talking about how work was underway on this project. It was about June 21st. They released something on it. It was a once vacant lot. This was supposed to be affordable housing for people earning between 15 and 80% of the median income in this area. Now we're seeing it literally up in flames when it seems like it had progressed pretty far along in terms of the building and stuff. There's not really any windows or siding on this building, but definitely built up. We know that it's right next to a county health center, the Fair Oaks Health Center, San Mateo County. They tweeted out a little bit ago that people's appointments have been canceled. They're working with people to reschedule right now because this scene around here on Middlefield Road is pretty chaotic. Again, this is an 8-alarm fire, so that means that you have emergency response vehicles all throughout this area. Traffic is closed on this road. There's a lot of people behind the camera too, looking, spectating as they have their phones out, looking at this fire that's catching so much attention. This is a busy area, not too far from us too. There's a Costco, so traffic is being let out to get people out of here, but nobody is allowed in. I had a hard time coming in myself to get here to cover this right now. But again, we're seeing emergency crews come in and out, AMR coming in here into the scene right now. We see Menlo Park fire out here, Redwood City. Remember, this is an unincorporated area of San Mateo County, so this is not Redwood City proper. So we're seeing the different responses from people. Moments ago, we saw a public information officer, a spokesperson for the San Mateo County, and the Menlo Park fire chief. They're the ones who are kind of speaking about this, talking about what's going on right now. I'm going to continue to look for them to get some more information. But again, what we are seeing right now is a ton of smoke. We're not seeing as many flames as even just a couple moments ago. So it looks like fire crews are working hard on this, continuing to work hard to extinguish this fire. As for the building, it'd be hard to imagine if they'd be able to salvage most of what's already been built up on this affordable housing project. Another concern I kind of have right now is this construction crane also, what kind of impact the flames might have on that. I don't know if you can see that from the vantage point we have right now, but there is a construction crane here right now, and that is a big part, obviously, of this construction project that got underway about a year ago. So we see the crews working very hard. It is incredible when you start to see the flames go up more. You can actually feel the heat out here. It is just a very intense fire that we're seeing out here right now, and crews just hard at work. So we're going to continue to give you this live look at it right now. I'm going to work to get some more information, get somebody on camera with the county, with one of the fire agencies working to respond to this fire right now. But I'm going to move off the shot right now. Alex Gray, a photographer out here, is going to continue to bring you this live look, and I'm going to work to gather some more information on the scene as to where progress is with fighting this fire at this Middlefield Junction, as it's called, this affordable housing project that we now don't know what the progress of it is going to be at this point. Right now, the focus, of course, is just extinguishing this fire and people's safety at this time. So I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio while we work to get some more information here on the ground.
All right, Zach, thank you. And we do know when we're talking about impacts to kind of the surrounding area, we have heard Garfield School, which is in Menlo Park, about 0.8 miles away from where this is burning. They have actually dismissed school immediately for the safety and well-being of their students and staff. They are assuring everyone is fine and safe at the schools. They're telling their family that the families, I should say, that they're encouraged to come and pick up their children as soon as possible. They're saying if you're unable to come by, rest assured that your child will remain indoors and supervised at school until you are able to arrive. Again, this is Garfield School in Menlo Park. It has been dismissed because of the impacts of this construction site fire that we've been monitoring for quite some time now, first igniting at around 10:15. They're saying on the 5th floor of this construction site is where that fire ignited. It has since impacted many cities in the surrounding area. It has also impacted people who are living nearby Pacific Avenue, Calvin Avenue, also Dumbarton Avenue. People who are living in that area, all of them have been evacuated or have been asked to evacuate. That evacuation area also expanding in the last hour.
As we continue to look at the live images on the left-hand side of your screen, as Drew mentioned and as Zach mentioned as well, we are seeing a bit of a change in the color of the smoke. It signals a couple of things to us. One, as we see that lighter color smoke, that means that the fire crews are getting a bit of a better handle on things. But of course, as soon as I mentioned that, we're beginning to see a bit of a darker color, darker hue to the smoke as well. We don't see those raging flames that we initially saw as we first brought you these live images from our incredible photographer who's been working the scene for about an hour now, Alex Gray, who's doing a great job for us on the ground right now. But we do see that smoke, and again, a bit lightish in color. But earlier we saw those really intense flames shooting through the roof of this building, and we also saw that thick black dark gray smoke. That lets you know that the air quality is really not great in the area. So again, as you're looking at this live split screen here, on the left, you see live images of what's happening. On the right, you see the pre-recorded video that shows those more intense flames also whipping in the air there. As we first started covering this breaking news there in this unincorporated part of San Mateo County, we were hearing that the wind gusts were about 30 miles per hour. The winds have since died down just a bit. At last check, they were about 20 to 21 miles per hour. That's good news for the concern that an ember from this fire, from the flames there, could skip from this fire and potentially catch a nearby building, nearby brush, trees on fire, and that would be an even bigger headache for those fire crews to have to worry about right now. But again, the San Mateo firefighters there, many of them responding from all over San Mateo County. We see the Menlo Park fire truck directly in front of us. They've been doing a really great job of dousing this building with as much water as possible to try and get these flames under control. If you're just joining our live coverage, we want to let you know what we know so far about this building. It appears to be an affordable housing complex that was under construction. About 180 units there were being built. And this is for people that have a hard time affording housing here in the Bay Area that we all know all too well is really tough to be able to afford. At about 10:15 this morning, we're hearing that the fire started on the 5th floor of this housing complex that was under construction. And luckily, so far, no reports of any injuries from any of the construction workers that we imagine were on scene or any of the firefighters that have been responding to this blaze for more than the last couple of hours now.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about that raw material easily igniting. We saw that as we watched the flames tear through this construction site. We also saw just the power of those flames send some of the scaffolding down to the ground. We know that when it comes to this affordable housing project called Middlefield Junction, with those roughly 180 units being built, about 20 of those units were earmarked for people who are unhoused. We also know that the building was supposed to have a child care center. Construction on this building and in this area started just last summer. If you are maybe unfamiliar with this specific construction site, maybe you know it as a former recycling facility. That recycling facility was demolished back in 2015. We know that we're also seeing some impacts to some of the commuting in the area when it comes to, let's say, Caltrains. We also know that some trains are experiencing delays. Train 114 is holding out at Redwood City and 115 is holding at Menlo Park. Train 508 southbound is running about 5 minutes late approaching Menlo Park. Samtrans is saying that there is currently a bus bridge in place from Redwood City to Menlo Park for Caltrain riders impacted by this. As Samtrans also saying that they will be honoring Caltrain tickets at this time. Important to note, especially if those if people are planning on traveling during the afternoon hour, especially in this area. We know that this fire has been burning for more than 2 hours now, again igniting at around 10:15.
Again, you continue to watch the live images on the left-hand side of your screen, where we don't see much fire, but we do see lots of smoke there in that area. We're also looking at the latest conditions when it comes to the weather there in this unincorporated area of San Mateo County, really close to and bordering Redwood City. The wind currently gusting at around 21 miles per hour. That relative humidity is high, about 71%, and as Drew Tuma has been telling us, that is good news for the firefighters there because the fire would then be less likely to be able to spread to other brush greenery in that area right now. As far as impacts are concerned, we told you moments ago that a local school there has been evacuated, or at least they're ending classes early. I believe that was Garfield Community School. They are also telling parents, if you're watching this, your child goes to Garfield Community School, that if you can't make it to school in time, they said rest assured that the kids, the teachers, they're all safe, and they will, of course, make sure your child is being cared for until you are able to make it to the school and be able to pick them up right now. There was a lot of concern initially about whether this could have been wildfire related. We've been closely watching wildfires across the Bay Area, which is really shocking to say this early in June. We typically think of wildfires in August, September, and not this early in the month of June. But of course, there was that fire near Tracy that burned pretty quickly into a sizable amount over the weekend. The latest update that we got about that one this morning is that it was about 75% contained. And then also the Quimby fire there in San Jose, called the Quimby fire because it's right on Quimby Road. And the concern there was what they call was the concern about the embers from that fire spreading so quickly to other homes that weren't even directly near the initial home that caught fire. So that was of great concern. Obviously, still too early to know the cause of this fire that we're watching and the response that we're watching here just outside of Redwood City. But of course, that'll be something that fire officials will be trying to figure out throughout the day here.
Yeah, and fire officials calling the wind a challenge in this situation specifically. Almost immediately, we were getting video from people who live in neighboring cities, Menlo Park even, showing a lot of that smoke that we're seeing on the right-hand side. This was video taken from earlier today. The video that you see on the left-hand side, that's a live look at what's happening and conditions now. We also took calls from viewers who are reporting falling ash in their backyards. One woman says that she lives about 4 miles away and she was seeing ash falling in her backyard. She was concerned. Right here we see officials with the sheriff's office stepping up, it seems, to the cameras, maybe to give us an update. So we're continuing to follow along. We know that they've been updating on X as well as trying to tell people get out of the area, specifically those on Pacific Avenue, Calvin Avenue, and Dumbarton Avenue. I'm wondering if we might be able to listen in once they come up to the podium to give us an update, okay, on exactly what's happening, and we know that that will be the case. Again, Garfield families, Garfield School over in Menlo Park, that school saw a dismissal already. They're calling it an immediate dismissal for the safety and well-being of the students and staff there. Again, parents, if you're listening now, making your way toward the school, you are being encouraged to come and pick up your child as soon as possible. They're saying if you're unable to do that at this moment, your child will remain indoors and supervised at school until you are able to arrive. We also know San Mateo County Health, they're saying because of the nearby construction site fire, County Health's Fair Oaks Health Center has been evacuated. Staff are working with patients to reschedule appointments.
So we continue to give you live images on the left-hand side of your screen and images from much earlier when the fire was much more intense on the right-hand side of your screen. And we give you updates on how this fire that appears to be under control, but we are standing by to get an update from firefighters there in San Mateo County and also the San Mateo County Sheriff's deputies in just a moment. But it does appear to be in better shape, that firefighters have a better grasp on this fire than they did earlier ago. And that's what you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen. There have been impacts to Caltrain. We know Samtrans currently has that bus bridge in place to get folks to and from and around San Mateo County as this fire is messing up some of the operations there with Caltrain. And we are also, as Amanda just mentioned, letting you know that the County Health Fair Oaks Health Center office is now being evacuated. And parents who have a child at Garfield Community School are being encouraged to come pick up their child if they're able to. If not, they also let us know that the students are safe. They're going to keep everyone inside as the firefighters do what they do best, and that is knocking down the flames of this fire that we've been watching burn for over 2 hours at this point. Again, any moment from now, we are expecting to get an update from the San Mateo County Sheriff's deputies and also firefighters there in that region. Many of them responding from fire departments all across San Mateo County. Menlo Park, we saw the fire truck there parked, and I imagine they're getting mutual aid from firefighters from all across this area here. We will continue to follow this breaking news as we have been for about the last hour. A little over an hour now, and bring you all the updates as we get them. We appreciate you watching here on ABC 7 News Midday Live. Of course, if you're used to watching GMA3, what you need to know at this time, we are continuing with this breaking news instead at this hour. Of course, we're always posting the latest updates on abc7news.com and the ABC 7 News mobile app.
And if you're trying to place this site that's burning right now, it is an affordable housing project called Middlefield Junction. We know that they were building roughly 180 units with 20 of them earmarked for the unhoused. Now let's go straight to this live press conference that's happening right now.
Monahan with San Mateo County Sheriff.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Ryan Monahan with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. I am the Assistant Sheriff, and I'm here on behalf of Sheriff Christina Corpus today. So our role in this is to support fire's efforts, primarily in ensuring evacuation and safety for the folks in the immediate area. So when the call came out, our deputies were immediately dispatched to the area. They responded to the scene. We sent deputies from bureaus all over the county. So we had not only deputies that are assigned to the North Fair Oaks area, but deputies assigned throughout our county immediately start responding when we learned of the alarm and the structure that was involved. Deputies quickly got here to the scene. They assessed the need for evacuation, worked with our partners at Fire. We set up a unified command post with the fire department so that we could work collaboratively with them and assist them in safety measures. So once we got here, we realized that we were going to need assistance. We're very fortunate here in San Mateo County that we have a very, very strong allied agency partnerships, and we were able to reach out to those allied agencies in the area, and they immediately sent resources to assist us with the evacuation efforts. As of right now, we have an estimated 50 people or so, residents from the adjacent area or in the general vicinity, that some of them were evacuated for precautionary reasons because of their proximity to the fire. Some of them were evacuated because of some of the embers that spread and touched some other locations in the area. So right now we have those folks evacuated. We're very happy to say that those folks are safe. That's our primary concern here, is making sure that our community members here are safe. And our Emergency Services Bureau, we have that helps with these types of incidents, is working right now hand in hand with the Department of Emergency Management, which is a county department, to find a suitable evacuation point or location for our evacuees to go so they can get the resources that they need. So we're working diligently behind the scenes right now, and we'll be providing updates on where that location is. We're just asking the public right now. The fire department is doing an outstanding job right now, controlling and containing this fire. And so our primary goal here is we want to keep our community members safe. And so we're asking you all, in order to do that, to please stay out of the area. Please let the fire department personnel, our deputies, and all the rest of the first responders out here that are committed to the safety of the scene do their job. And we will be providing updates in a very timely manner to keep people up to date on the evacuations and any other information. Thank you.
Chief, can we ask you a couple of quick questions? It looks like, from a layman's viewpoint, that you're making progress. Also, from this vantage point, it looks like 3 buildings. You talked about 2. It looks like, can you clarify that for us as well?
Sure. And yes, we are making good progress on it. Yeah, it's basically burning all the wood, timbers, and structural members from the interior out. So the fire started on the north end of the building and then was pushed by the winds, basically all the way over to this side. I know from here, it looks like there's multiple buildings involved. It's one building that looked like it was either an L shape or kind of a U-shaped building. So, and then there's a building closer to us that's also under construction. That one is not involved. We're working on structure protection with that also. So it's just one single building that's been involved. It's just a rather large building.
And the difficulties you're having, we're seeing scaffolds falling. What are some of the big issues you guys are having?
Sure. Right. The big challenges initially are, there's no firewalls in there. They haven't been constructed yet. So it's just a tinder box, and the fire spreads pretty quickly. We had some decent winds kind of pushing the fire through the building. We recognized early on that this was going to be an exterior attack, as we call defensive, because there's almost no way to stop it, and we want to ensure that we don't harm our firefighters also. So, that's our current plan, is to stay back far enough so if it collapses, we're out of the collapse zone. It's one thing we don't want to do on a building that's already been determined a loss, is to hurt anybody, injure anyone. And so, just like I had said earlier, exposures are our primary goal. Protecting those, that's the building under construction, and then the neighborhood just to the south.
Chief, can you talk to me a little bit more about these spot fires that you say you're fighting?
Sure.
Where exactly are they, if you know, and what mutual aid did you get from what department?
Oh, sure, yeah. As the sheriff was saying earlier, our mutual aid system up here is very robust. The initial response from all of our allied departments in San Mateo County was robust. That's where the 26 engines and 7 ladder trucks came from, is all just here internally. We have the 10 additional engines coming from a mutual aid partner, Santa Clara County to the south. What was the rest of your question?
The spot fires.
Oh, the spot fires. Yeah, the spot fires in the neighborhood. It's interesting. I was walking over through there, and there was large pieces of insulation that had melted, were on fire, caught part of that thermal column, and floated into the neighborhood and were causing fires anywhere, in a grass lot, in somebody's collection of items there, on roofs, and it was just kind of indiscriminate throughout the community over here. So those are the spot fires that we're dealing with.
And you had said fire in the insulation was the first report. Obviously, too early to tell the cause, but are you still thinking that it was, not a piece of equipment that was left on or connected?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we have fire cause investigators out here right now. Hopefully there were eyewitnesses to it. That will be helpful for us in determining the cause. Those were just the initial reports. Whether they're accurate or not, I can't attest to those. But those were the initial reports. So, and as we know, on a construction site, there's usually quite a bit of equipment. Sometimes there's hot work going on. So, but we'll do a thorough, diligent investigation and report back to you when we have a cause.
And it was fully operational. They were working at the time this broke.
Yes.
Can you talk, and you kind of touch on this, but just how dangerous the risk of embers spreading is? I mean, we just saw a worst case scenario with that yesterday in San
Sure.
Jose.
I mean, it's what we were dealing with here. It's very interesting. Typically, on a large structure fire, we're not dealing with structure protection in the neighborhoods next door, but it reminds us a little bit of fire season and wildland fires. The embers, whether they're from insulation or from vegetation, really work just the same. And so here we are in the middle of a urban suburban area, dealing with what we saw yesterday in San Joaquin Valley, is fire spread through embers and winds. So those are obviously our 2 biggest threats right now.
Chief, can you tell us if any of the scaffolding is falling, any of the planks?
Has any of that collapsed?
I think some of it has, not very much of it.
Is there a risk with the crane?
Whether or not any of the scaffolding has come down.
And with the crane, is that like a risk also with fire burning around it?
There's not a current risk. It would be a big risk if the fire spread to that building that the crane is next to.
Okay, so the crane is with the building that is not the affordable
Right.
housing.
The crane is in the uninvolved. It may still be a housing building, but it's in an uninvolved separate building.
Last question. There were any workers inside the building when the fire started?
As far as I could tell, when I got here, they were all evacuating. It looked like there was well over 100 construction workers, so I would imagine there were. Like I said, we'll see whether or not we had any eyewitnesses to the fire start.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Spanish is right here.
I'll switch it over to Spanish so whoever. Buenas tardes, me llamo Javier Acosta. Soy un sargento con la oficina de San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. So, hoy, esta mañana, como después de las 10 de la mañana, entraron las llamadas de un incendio muy grande. Como ven aquí, es un nuevo lugar de construcción. Cuando llegamos, nos fijamos que había mucho aire y había muchos pedazos de lumbre en el aire.
Okay, again, we have been listening to a press conference there by the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office and also fire officials on the ground giving us an update on this structure that we've seen burning for 2.5 hours at this point. We got many of the reports that we were hearing earlier confirmed that this was an affordable housing complex that was under construction. We also learned in this press conference that 50 people were evacuated due to their proximity to this area in this unincorporated part of San Mateo County bordering Redwood City. We're hearing that there was one structure that caught fire at around 10:15 this morning, a L or a U shape. There apparently is another building that was also under construction, but thankfully that has not been affected. But as we saw those flames so quickly make its way through this apartment complex that was under construction there, we heard the fire chief there in Menlo Park describe it as just a tinderbox. That is how easily the fire spread throughout that building. And with that, he called that building a total loss. So there's no saving it at this point. The concern now is any embers that may have traveled from this fire to other areas in the Menlo Park area and also making sure that other building that's currently under construction does not catch fire.
And we know that early on, we heard about these evacuations first on Pacific Avenue and Calvin Avenue near the 2700 block of Middlefield Road, and then that expanding to also include people who live along Dumbarton Avenue. And I know that Julian mentioned an estimated 50 people from that adjacent area were evacuated because of their proximity. We're also told that of those people, others were evacuated because of flying embers. And we know that the sheriff's office has talked a lot about the wind being a challenge in this situation. You know, the fire spreading through embers and wind. We also took some calls from viewers who said that they were seeing ash falling in their backyard, people who lived as far as 4 miles away from where this construction site is burning. Deputies, we know, were immediately dispatched. That's what they were just talking about. They talked about having to send deputies from various bureaus around the county because of just how massive this fire was, how powerful this fire was. And once they arrived, they really assessed the need for evacuations. And we heard about that pretty early on. They did set up a unified command post, and so that's probably what people are seeing if you're in the area. What we do want to say, and what first responders have said, is that they don't want you in the area. They really want you to stay a safe distance away from it. What they're worried about is that they want to make sure that people are out of a collapse zone if that ends up being the case. At this point, we did see some scaffolding fall as we watched those flames kind of tear through the construction site in the last almost, I want to say 2.5 hours now. We know that it first ignited at 10:15 this morning on the 5th floor of this construction site. All of the agencies who are responding, they say even some as far south as Santa Clara County, are really coming to help work and put the flames out here. Again, the 2700 block of Middlefield Road in unincorporated Redwood City.
We're also hearing from the fire chief there in Menlo Park. He was telling us about insulation that caught on fire there because, again, this building is under construction, melted, and then that began to blow in the wind, and that was what was allowing the fire to be able to spread from this fire currently that these crews are working to knock down to other areas nearby. He mentioned roofs, the front yards of folks that live nearby as well. We do just want to get another update on the current conditions there on the ground that those firefighters are contending with. We check in now with Drew Tuma.
Yeah, and you were saying, Julian, about the insulation being lofted into the air and these winds. What you're seeing on your screen is kind of widen out the picture on your right. That is the weather map that you can see where that fire currently is still burning in Redwood City, but the live images on the left-hand side of your screen are giving us encouraging news compared to 30 minutes ago. That smoke is more translucent looking. It's not that thick, dark smoke. Indicative of a pretty healthy fire. Now it's more of a fire that firefighters have a handle on. But that smoke has traveled pretty far under these gusty northwesterly winds. In fact, that smoke has traveled several miles away, tens of miles, down into the Santa Clara Valley, where now we're seeing areas like Willow Glen, Campbell, being impacted by this smoke. That's more than 20 miles away from the fire, just getting taken, lofted into the air and traveling on these gusty winds south, basically along 101. So there's areas well removed from this fire that are getting impacted from smoke. A big portion of the South Bay is now dealing with moderate, if not unhealthy, air quality because of the smoke. And you can just tell how far that smoke travels. That's possibly how far embers could travel. So you heard the captain there from Menlo Park telling us that they were seeing pieces of this construction site getting lofted into the air that were on fire and moving downstream from this wind. This wind is still pretty gusty out of the northwest. It will continue to stay that way throughout the afternoon. I hear a lot of folks are saying it just feels weird out there today because it's quite cloudy. It's cool, but it's also on the humid side. Kind of feels a little tropical when it comes to our humidity, and this is all because of a cold front that is going to move through here this afternoon. That is why we have the winds that are so active on the peninsula and across a big portion of the region. We've seen frequent gusts in other areas like the East Bay, over 40 miles per hour. So we're seeing right now winds in Redwood City. They're gusting over 20 miles per hour at times. That smoke has been impacting areas south of the fire like Menlo Park, certainly Palo Alto, Sunnyvale, Mountain View, Santa Clara, Campbell has been impacted by this smoke. So just be aware of that. If you can see ash falling in your backyard like we have been hearing from viewers, your air quality is going to be on the unhealthy side. So if you are sensitive to this kind of particulate matter, you do want to take precaution because of the smoke that is in the atmosphere. So once again, the wind's out of the northwest, guys. It is quite gusty. It will remain that way, but it looks like on the left-hand side of your screen, those live images being fed to us right now. It looks like it is encouraging to see that smoke a lot whiter. It's translucent, not seeing as much flame activity out there right now. So it looks like firefighters getting a better handle on this fire.
Yeah, and Drew, we saw just on the bottom of our screen a warning to Garfield families, people who have kids at the Garfield Community School, just about 0.8 miles away from where this is actually burning. They did send out a notice saying that they are dismissing school immediately for the safety and well-being of their students and staff, assuring everyone is fine and safe at the schools. And families, if you're on your way to pick up your kid right now, they are encouraging that that happens as soon as possible. They're saying if you are unable to come by, rest assured that your child will remain indoors and supervised at the school until you're able to arrive. We also know that some of the travel impacts include both Caltrain and Samtrans really picking it up and allowing a bus bridge to happen to get people across town where they need to go. We're also hearing from Redwood City Police. They're asking people to please leave 911 open for emergency calls only, and they're asking people to avoid calling their dispatch center to report the fire. They are there, they know about it. We know that several agencies from various communities are involved in this firefight, including as far south as Santa Clara County. They're assisting with the fire response as well. And so just make sure that you're keeping those 911 lines open as they are aware.
Again, if you're just joining our live coverage here of the fire that we've been watching burn here in Redwood City for about the last hour and a half here on air, but we do know that fire has been burning since about 10:15 this morning. This is in an unincorporated area of San Mateo County bordering Redwood City, where we've been watching all of this unfold. In the last 10 minutes, we received an update from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office and also the Menlo Park Fire Department that is taking command of this situation that has garnered a very large response from firefighters all across San Mateo County and even parts of Santa Clara County. Here's what we know so far. About 50 people were evacuated in the surrounding area due to their close proximity to this fire. There was concern about embers from the fire and eventually even parts of this building that is under construction. We're hearing of some of the insulation that melted in the fire, then got caught in the wind and began to spread to other parts of this area, Redwood City, Menlo Park. There was concern of those embers and also pieces of the construction that caught fire hitting roofs nearby, potentially even catching grass on fire. And that's something that we've been seeing play out in wildfires across the Bay Area, which is very strange to say this early into the year. We know fire season, wildfire season that is, usually picks up in greater steam in the months of August and September. But what we're hearing right now is that this just appears to be a fire to this building that was under construction. We've been telling you throughout our live breaking news coverage here that the building under construction that you see there on both the left and right hand sides of your screen appears to have been an affordable housing complex that was under construction. We've been bringing you this live team coverage here on ABC 7 News throughout Midday Live, now GMA 3. We want to get to ABC 7 News South Bay reporter Zach Fuentes, who's been live there on the ground. He joins us with an update. Zach.
Yes, and because, Julian, it was under construction, we just heard from the Menlo Park Fire Chief, who's handling this, leading the operations, that made these buildings a tinderbox at this point. There is not fireproofing in there at this point. There are not the typical safeguards that are in a building when it catches fire. And then, of course, the wind had a big impact. We have seen throughout the morning, I guess, at this point, the siding, that, I guess, drywall, just coming down from that building that is on fire. You now see scaffolding. You see how much more of it is now. That scaffolding is just exposed compared to even just a half hour ago. So again, though, what we are starting to see is that smoke looking a little more clear, like Drew was talking about earlier. We're not seeing the same amount of flames that we saw. We were literally feeling the heat from those flames where we're standing right now. And it's not like we're right next to the fire to be able to feel the amount of heat, that intense heat that we were feeling. I was just speaking a couple moments ago to one of the people who is evacuated. First responders saying that 50 families, 50 households were evacuated. And one of the guys was telling me that he was throwing water on his garage, trying to make sure that his home was protected. He says he's only about 100 feet from this building. And so a lot of people, a lot of those evacuees standing there watching. You heard first responders talking about trying to find a good place for them to stay while they deal with this fire, while they continue to fight the progress on it right now. But again, that progress is, they're doing well with that progress at this point, given the circumstances and everything that they're facing. And some of those circumstances, like we've been talking about, have been the wind and the risk that presents. The wind accelerated that fire. They said it started in one part of the building, and then the wind pushed that fire to another part through the rest of the building, leading to what we've seen right now. Again, embers are a big risk when we're talking about wind and dealing with this. We just saw in San Jose yesterday a total of 3 homes that caught on fire, 2 of them because of the embers that had spread from that initial fire, what we know. And then, of course, wildfires we know start from embers. And so we have seen spot fires in this situation as a result of that, as a result of the wind and the things spreading. But again, fire crews doing a good job maintaining this, fighting progress, and they're continuing to progress with this fire here. And we're seeing so many different crews. Again, this is an 8-alarm fire, multiple engines, multiple crews out here working this. Menlo Park Fire has been our point of contact. And of course, the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office also handling the evacuations and making sure that roads, families that need to be evacuated are evacuated at this point. Again, I want to, and I've heard you guys talking about this, but I want to tell people you definitely don't want to try to come to this area right now if you don't need to. Middlefield Road, there is some major traffic impacts at this time right now as crews work to get in and out of here. Because again, it's not just fire crews, first responders. We've got PG&E trucks in here, making sure that the power lines are secure and that there's no risk from that. And of course, there's train tracks coming through here right now. And so we have the crews, CHP on scene right now, I'm looking, of course, San Mateo County Sheriffs and all the first responders just surrounding this area, which really is a main road to and from different parts of this area right now. So you don't want to come through here if you absolutely can't avoid it. And in some cases, if you're trying to get right here, you can't get through here. So avoid the area if you can. Again, we're looking at the building right now. And it's incredible. You know, as I turn my head right now to describe some of the first responder vehicles that are behind the camera, I turn back around here now and continue to see more scaffolding exposed and continue to see the smoke flying. Again, we're not seeing the same flames that we were seeing even just an hour ago, a half hour ago, maybe 45 minutes ago. So that does indicate some progress being made by the crews who are really out here working so hard given the circumstances, given the windy conditions that we're seeing out here. We know that it's a couple of buildings that are here as part of this affordable housing project, but it is one building that has caught on fire. The other thing I was talking about earlier when I was live as well was this crane, this big construction crane. And is the fire posing any risk to that? Might that come down? Might something happen as a result of that crane? The Menlo Park Fire Chief said that that crane is not at risk at this time. They are just focused on this building, making sure any spot fires that occurred are out, and of course, making sure that they can extinguish this fire that is currently burning. He said that that building, a total loss. Not sure what's going to happen with the other buildings here, but this was an affordable housing project that really got underway about a year ago. And the neighbor I was speaking with who had been evacuated said he'd been watching the progress of this affordable housing project coming up, and he's sad to see this go, you know. So right now I'm going to toss it back to you guys as we continue to watch here from the ground the progress fire crews are making, and we'll be sure to bring you any updates as soon as we get them.
Guys, thank you so much for that live report. We have J.R. Stone now joining our live breaking news coverage of this fire that's been burning there in the Redwood City area for quite some time. As we've been keeping you up to date, we know that a number of people have been evacuated from this area. No reports of injury so far in this 8-alarm fire. We do want to let you know that we are going to continue this live breaking news coverage on the ABC 7 News 24/7 stream and also at abc7news.com/live. In the meantime, we are going to conclude our live breaking news coverage here on air. We return you now to the Tamron Hall Show. For everyone else watching on your mobile devices, online, and on the 24/7 streaming app, we will continue that breaking news coverage right now. And we do want to continue our coverage now. As we mentioned, J.R. Stone joining us live here. This has been quite the fire that those crews there have been trying to knock out for the last going on 3 hours now.
It certainly has. You guys have been on TV talking about this. I've been online talking about it. And so many of our viewers out there have been sending us videos and pictures. And I think one of the reasons for that is there's just so many people who live around that area. I mean, there was a gentleman earlier by the name of Steve who sent me a video, and I mean, the fire was right there. And he said he was going to drop off a weed whacker. He lives in Menlo Park, but was just making a trip, doing some stuff he had to do during the daytime, looks over, and you see this massive fire. And I think it grabs you quickly, especially in light of what we dealt with over the weekend. And that was weather conditions that really led to some situations that were very concerning in San Jose and San Joaquin County. And so then you have another scenario like this. And I mean, those images of the flames, I think, are ones that a lot of people are going to remember today because they were so big.
Exactly, those flames shooting through the roof of this building that's been under construction for quite some time now. We now want to bring in San Mateo County Supervisor Warren Slocum, who joins us live on the phone right now. Warren, can you hear us okay? Let's try this one more time. We can't hear Warren. Warren, can you hear us okay? All right, we are going to work to get that connection there with Warren Slocum, supervisor there in San Mateo County. We did see that Warren just tweeted out moments ago that there is now an evacuation center for those impacted by this fire at the Red Morton Center Community Activities Building. That is located at 1400 Roosevelt Avenue in Redwood City. The North Fair Oaks Library will be open until 8 p.m. and the Fair Oaks Community Center will be open until 5 p.m. We've been telling you on the flip side about closures. The Garfield Community School that's less than a mile away from this structure that is on fire right now. And also the impacts to Caltrain service in the area. Again, all because of the concerns of the embers from this fire potentially skipping to nearby areas and wreaking havoc there.
It's wild because when you see a fire like the one we saw, and you're looking at some of those images on our stream on ABC7 News Bay Area apps and on our website, but when you look at those images, you think, okay, well, at least it's in one spot. But what we saw over the weekend in San Jose was embers that were jumping. And you know, when you hear Drew Tuma talk about 30-mile-per-hour winds, that's certainly a concern. And to be able to get those school kids out, I think if there is anything optimistic to look at right now, it's that we haven't heard of any injuries at this point. And if you look in the video and that picture on the left-hand side, you can see it's white smoke. It's not that black smoke that we saw earlier. So it just shows that, you know, all those firefighters did make an impact on this. You know, you talked about, I know there were talk about a 7-alarm, an 8-alarm. That's a lot of firefighters, you know, whether it's a 7-alarm. We were talking about a 4-alarm yesterday, but 7 or 8-alarm, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of firefighters who are out there and really focused on getting this out. I think, you know, once you realize, okay, well, everybody's okay or appears to be okay at this point, then you wonder, and a lot of people have been asking online, I'm saying, well, how did this start? You know, and I know a lot of concerns out there because we have seen construction sites like this go up in flames in other places like Oakland. I know I've been out on the scene of similar ones. When these construction sites burn, they burn, and we saw that this morning.
Essentially, they're tinderboxes, and that's what we heard from the fire chief there in Menlo Park. He stressed that there were no firewalls that were in place. They're not quite there at that point in the construction. We know the construction started on this building in the summer of last year, summer of 2023. So yes, when something catches on fire, it spreads so quickly. And the wind gusts that we saw earlier in the day that were about 30 miles per hour, as you mentioned, meteorologist Drew Tuma telling us, things spread extremely quickly. At one point, we saw the flames essentially parallel to the building itself, just to let you know how intense the wind gusts were. On the right-hand side of your screen right now, we're just showing you a compilation of videos that viewers watching, like you folks there in the area in San Mateo County, have been sending in, and that video showing those more intense flames that we've since seen die down, and also the thicker black smoke that's indicative of poor air quality that we've now seen dissipate into this gray, light gray smoke, which is a good tell that the firefighters are now getting a better hand on this right now. We have also been telling people about evacuation orders. We were hearing that about 50 people have been evacuated from the nearby surrounding area. They are all okay. The concern was if the fire could skip from this construction site to their property, but it appears that we don't have any secondary large fires that have started because of this construction fire that we've been watching for almost 3 hours now.
It's certainly a lesson, I think, for all of us as we go into, you know, and usually when we talk about fire season, we're talking about fire season in a couple months from now, in a few months from now. And I know so many of us here in Northern California have that emergency bag ready. But I know sometimes you think about, well, I'm in a city area, I should be okay. But what we saw today was a very busy area with a construction site like this that caught fire. What we saw yesterday in San Jose was 6 different structures that burned on different blocks in a very residential area. So, you know, a wake-up call for all of us, me included, to have your emergency bag ready and ready to go in case something like this happens, because there were evacuations and you know, they wanted to get kids out of that school and some of the schools in the area, because even though you're a mile, half a mile away or so, one of those embers hits, and we even saw it in some of the video we slowed down yesterday from the weekend where one of the trees caught fire and it led to another building catching fire. So certainly concerning, but boy, so much calmer on the left-hand side of that screen in comparison to the right-hand side. That was Daniela, one of our viewers, who sent us that video when she just walked up and said, "Whoa, look at this. You got to check this out because the flames are just shooting up in the air."
Exactly, and it's certainly something that will make you stop, pause, and grab your attention and wonder what's happening there. Thankfully, we have many of those questions answered at this point. We want to get you a tweet or a full screen. Let's see what we have here. Confirming some information about evacuation orders. This is for people who were evacuated from their home by the San Mateo County Sheriff's deputies to give them a place to be right now as we wait for the firefighters to knock this fire down and also allow people who've been evacuated to get to their area nearby. We're also working to get you some more information from one of the county supervisors there in San Mateo County, Warren Slocum. We were trying to speak with the supervisor live, but we had a bit of a technical issue. We'll bring you that conversation as soon as we can. But here is the updated information from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. It says that the temporary evacuation site will be located at the Red Morton Community Center, 1120 Roosevelt Avenue in Redwood City. Resources will be provided at this site to those who have been evacuated due to what we're now calling the North Fair Oaks fire. And with that, we want to welcome in Supervisor Warren Slocum there in San Mateo County into the conversation. Supervisor, can you hear us okay this time?
I can hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining our live breaking news coverage here. What can you tell us about this building that was under construction? We've been learning more about it throughout the hours, that this was an affordable housing complex. It's so awful to see this thing go up in flames. We know how hard it is to get affordable housing complexes built here in the Bay Area. What can you tell us about it?
Well, you're absolutely right on the difficulty of getting affordable housing developments constructed. I started working on this, or the Board of Supervisors started working on this project 10 years ago. So it's been 10 years in the making. Construction started last year, anticipating to be completed by the end of next year. And, it's just heartbreaking. It's a tragedy for the community, and it's a special tragedy for those that are in need of affordable housing, which is so scarce.
Can you tell us more about the response from the firefighters, also the sheriff's deputies there in San Mateo County that have been really doing their dead level best to get this fire under control the last 3 hours?
Well, I can't tell you a whole lot, but I can tell you that there were a lot of firefighters and first responders involved. Very proud of their response and the work that they're doing. Also very proud of the response of the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. I think all entities have done an amazing job. It's just unfortunate and it's heartbreaking that the building is probably a total loss at this point.
Supervisor, I know anytime, this is J.R. Stone here, anytime we see a circumstance like this, you wonder, was anybody living inside of this location? Was it actively under construction? Because oftentimes and sometimes we'll see a construction site go up and then there will be pauses in that process of getting that built. Are you aware, was construction actually taking place at the time? Was it known that any individuals might be living on the property or anything like that?
No, I've heard no reports of people living on the property, and I'm there every week. There was construction work going on at the time the fire started. I don't have any of the details yet. I know there'll be an investigation, and the official cause will be released here sometime pretty soon. But yeah, it's unfortunately just a tragedy for the community.
Supervisor, can you tell us more about the evacuation shelters that have been opened up for the folks that have been evacuated? I know you tweeted out that information a short time ago.
Yeah, there's an evacuation center for anybody that needs it, who's been evacuated, or who may need help, frankly. It's at the Red Morton Community Center in Redwood City. It's on Roosevelt Avenue. I don't happen to have the address. Maybe it's in the tweet. But anybody that needs help can go there and receive assistance.
I believe that's 1400 Roosevelt Avenue.
There you go, 1400. Yeah.
Hey, it's teamwork here. It's teamwork here. We appreciate you joining us and giving us the information that you do know. Supervisor, you mentioned that you're out there at the site where the construction is happening quite often. We've been getting intermittent updates from Caltrain, letting us know most recently, about 4 minutes ago, that the trains will be transitioning to hourly service, but folks should still expect some significant delays there. Our reporter, Zach Fuentes, has also mentioned it, but how close is this construction site to the train tracks there that carry those Caltrain cars?
Well, it's actually pretty close. I just trying to picture it in my mind. Maybe 100 yards, 150 yards, something like that, I guess.
Okay, so therein lies the concern about those trains they're running and why Samtrans decided to open up that bus bridge instead. Thank you for that new bit of information here. Supervisor, before we let you go, just any closing thoughts or remarks about, you know, the tragedy that is seeing this affordable housing complex go up in flames?
Well, as I said, we've been working on this for 10 years, and it's a travesty because in California, affordable housing is so difficult to get built. It takes so long, and the primary problem is the financing of those developments. And this was a unique development in that it had 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. 3 bedrooms is pretty unusual, and so families were going to get to enjoy this new building and those 3-bedroom units, childcare, and community meeting rooms. So all that is gone now. As I say, I hate to keep saying it, but it's just a tragedy.
It certainly is, Supervisor. And I don't know where you're located right now, but we're in studio. I know earlier today we saw some of those shots of the winds seemingly looking to go sideways. Have you been outside, and how windy is it down there at this point?
It comes and goes. It's kind of a, I don't know that I'd say strong wind, but consistently blowing. And I'm not at the fire location. I'm in Redwood City right now, but that's what it's been all morning.
Yeah. Well, we certainly thank you for your time. Supervisor Warren Slocum joining us to give us his take on what was being built as a affordable housing location. And I thought it was interesting mentioning the 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, so you could have an entire family in there.
And we know it is such, you know, a major topic that we're always covering here on ABC 7 News as a part of our coverage to build a better Bay Area. How do we get more families that are in great need of affordable housing, and how do we give these folks a place to stay so we don't see people unhoused and living on the streets here in the Bay Area, something none of us want to see. We do want to hear some sound reaction from a person who was evacuated, who lives nearby this apartment complex that's on fire. Let's listen in.
I was probably around 9:45 when I started smelling smoke, and then my niece came out of the room and said, "You know what? I think the building behind our house is burning." And then we all walked outside, you know, on the outside of the house, and yes, the building was very thick smoke, and we started trying to figure out what was going on, you know. And then I would look through the fence, and I saw just one firefighter, or, you know, one truck, and then I said, "This is going to be kind of bad." And so I started throwing, you know, water on top of the garage that we have, you know, because it's very close. It's about 100 feet from the fire. And maybe 10, 15 minutes later, I saw that police were trying to get everybody out of the street, you know, so they started evacuating everybody. Yeah. And that's when the fire really got strong. I live on Pacific Avenue, so they evacuated everybody.
What did they tell you?
There was a mandatory evacuation, so we had to get out. So what I did, we have 2 little dogs, so I grabbed the 2 little dogs, put them in the car. My mom and my niece and my cousin, we just drove away. I think they're about 5 blocks back, you know, on Meadowfield, and I had to stay here and watch to see what was going to happen to my mom's house. It was pretty scary, you know, but I was more worried about house. I said, what's going to happen? But luckily, I think I can see that they're taking control of the house already.
This construction project, how long have you kind of been seeing it go up, and what has that progress been like?
I think they've been working on it for about a year, or maybe a little bit more. And I thought they were doing pretty good. I was very happy that they were doing those apartments there. But now that it's totally, one of the buildings is totally burned down, it breaks my heart to see that, because you don't want to see that, But that's how life goes, and I guess we just have to take the punches.
Yeah, certainly you are just hearing from some of the witnesses on scene there in Redwood City as an affordable housing complex caught fire. You're looking at some of the newer images we have from this morning, the white smoke that's seen in the air, and that is certainly good news. I mean, you never like to see any smoke, but it's not black smoke, and it's not those incredible flames that we saw earlier today.
Exactly. Control room, Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are the first images that we're getting from Sky 7. You see that live on the right-hand side of your screen. And now with this aerial vantage view, we are getting a better idea of just the effort to attack this large-scale apartment complex that was under construction. You can see those ladder trucks spraying this thing down from multiple directions, and no doubt they have been at this for quite some time now. As we take these aerial images, no fire is visible, at least from this vantage point right now, but we do see that smoke continuing to billow from this unincorporated area of Redwood City. And with that, we're hearing from the Bay Area Air Quality Management District that the smoke from this structure fire in the Redwood City area is expected to impact air quality nearby. With that, I want to check in now with ABC 7 News weather anchor Spencer Christian for an update on the current conditions that those firefighters are contending with and anything that we need to know about air quality in that area.
Right. Okay. Well, Julian, the air quality certainly is being impacted in a negative way as the smoke continues to billow into the air. But, the side-by-side video view we had earlier showing the current lighter, whiter smoke and the darker smoke from earlier in the morning is encouraging news, because it does indicate that the fire is more under control now than it was earlier. We don't, as you pointed out, we don't see those flames leaping into the sky as we did earlier. We don't see that thick, dark smoke billowing out anymore. Nonetheless, even as this lighter smoke continues to push into the atmosphere, it is bringing air quality down a bit to the moderate, perhaps even poor level. We don't have an exact reading on it right now, but let me show you one of my weather graphics here. Going to the site of the fire, the weather element that is the concern right now is the wind. It certainly is not hot. It's only 69 degrees in Redwood City right now, and relative humidity is far higher than you would expect this time of the year, especially as we're about to go into a little bit of a heat wave later in the week. 71% humidity certainly helps the firefighting effort. And the steady winds out of the northwest at 13 miles per hour with occasional gusts to 21 miles per hour. I believe it was Supervisor Slocum who pointed out earlier that the wind has been sort of up and down, and it has. Earlier in the day, we had some stronger gusts up to about 30 miles per hour, and the gusts would diminish and then bounce back up to about 29 or 30. But right now, the gusts have been fairly consistent at about 21 miles per hour. But let me show you a wider view here. You can see how the smoke is being carried by the winds out of the northwest into areas like Palo Alto, down into towards Sunnyvale and Mountain View and Los Altos. So as the fire continues to put smoke into the air, of course, it is going to cause the air quality to diminish a bit. But it is hopeful now that we're seeing this thing apparently becoming more under control. Now, I want to point out that the gusts are going to remain fairly steady going into the late afternoon and early evening hours, as you can see on this graphic. They will remain around 20 to 22 miles per hour. Then into the evening hours, 7, 8 p.m., we might see the winds diminish just a little bit, but not significantly until perhaps after 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. So we'll be keeping an eye on the winds, of course. And we have a bit of well, it's a breezy pattern, windy pattern all across the Bay Area, as you can see, with gusts up to nearly 25 miles per hour in many locations. And again, that general pattern will continue. But we have some hot weather coming our way over the next couple of days. That's going to be a concern, not just for this particular fire in Redwood City, but for the possibility of fires anywhere in the Bay Area. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll see high temperatures in the upper 90s to low 100s across almost all of our inland areas. That pattern will linger into Wednesday. And as a result of that, we have a heat advisory that will be in effect for virtually all of the Bay Area except the immediate Bay shoreline and the coast. That'll be from 8 a.m. tomorrow through much of Thursday. And over in Solano County, an even more serious alert. It's an excessive heat warning. So during this time, of course, there is an increased risk of heat illnesses. And we point this out to you when we have any heat wave, but it's worth repeating. As the heat becomes more intense, it's important for us to hydrate ourselves with plenty of fluids, wear lightweight clothing, take frequent breaks in the shade if possible, or seek places that are air conditioned, and recognize the signs of heat-related illness, and of course never leave people or pets inside cars. But getting back to the Redwood City fire, I just want to show you this graphic one more time. The winds continue to flow out of the northwest at about 13 miles per hour with gusts to 21 miles per hour. We haven't seen any stronger gusts in the last hour or so, so it looks like that element that may affect the firefighting, the wind, is sort of falling into a steady pattern. And as we look again at the wider view, you can see the smoke being carried by that wind from Redwood City down to areas like Palo Alto and Mountain View and Sunnyvale, perhaps even farther south, Santa Clara. And that will continue as long as the fire is not extinguished.
Spencer, thank you so much for that. Again, I just want to emphasize that we're just getting a really good look at what is left of this apartment complex that has been burning for more than 3 hours right now. In the right-hand side of your screen, these images from Sky 7, and boy, the fact, I mean, this thing is a total loss, truly an understatement. It looks like a tree completely stripped of all of its leaves. This thing, all of the scaffolding, a lot of it has charred. Much of that wood siding that was on the exterior of the building, you can see is gone. And we see just a dark, charred aftermath of what was going to be this affordable housing complex, said to have 180 units. And what was so unique about this complex that we heard from San Mateo County Supervisor Warren Slocum is that this was going to have 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. The 2 and 3 bedrooms meant to be for families. So families that are struggling, trying to make ends meet, having a tough time getting affordable housing here in the very expensive Bay Area, we're going to be able to have a place to stay, a place to call home. But this project, again, as we heard from the Menlo Park Fire Chief, is now a complete and total loss. We also learned from the San Mateo County Supervisor Warren Slocum that they started working on this project 10 years ago to be able to get it into motion. Construction started summer of 2023, and now this in June of 2024. This building burned to the ground, and it was 10 years in the making. A really tough thing to see here, as we all know how tough it is to come by affordable housing, and even tougher to be able to get it built here in the Bay Area. Again, we take these live images from Sky 7 right now, showing the smoke still smoldering from the aftermath of this burnt building. And just a few moments ago, as we took that wider picture, that wider vantage point from Sky 7, we saw just how close this building is to those train tracks. Those are the tracks that carry Caltrain cars, and that is why we've seen that Caltrain has delayed its service. They have been doing service hourly at this time, and now we're getting another update here from Caltrain. Let's see what it says. Trains will depart 4th and King to Redwood City every hour. Trains will be departing San Jose to Menlo Park every hour as well. Samtrans is honoring Caltrain fares between Redwood City and Menlo Park. But we see while there is an impact to Caltrain, and that is because this site that's been on fire for more than 3 hours, first started at 10:15 this morning, is so close to the train tracks. You can see them just behind the building from this vantage point here from Sky 7. Also in the distance, we see those fire trucks. There are dozens of engines and about a dozen ladder trucks. That's the information that we heard from the Menlo Park Fire Chief in that update about 45 minutes ago. You see just how many of them are responding to this fire. All of those ladders spraying down what's left of this building, and clearly we see not much is left behind. We've been covering this breaking news here on ABC 7 News, on air, online, on the ABC 7 News mobile app since we first got word of this fire, and that was around 11:15 today. The fire started shortly before that at 10:15. Earlier, about 15 minutes ago, we brought you a soundbite from a man who was evacuated from the nearby area. We're hearing from the San Mateo County Sheriff's deputies that about 40 people have been evacuated from the nearby area. There was concern about the fire potentially being picked up by the wind and hitting nearby homes, hitting nearby grass and vegetation, and this fire spreading quickly. But essentially that man who was evacuated said, you know, we're just rolling with the punches. And that is exactly what these fire crews have been doing throughout the day as they have knocked down this fire. So good news here. No more images of
just live camera, right? No video, correct? Hello? Hello? Is it video or just live camera? Okay, you want to roll cue or?
and images and videos of what it looked like from where they were located, whether they were located right next to all of this or whether they were located a mile or two down the street. We do want to go to a press conference that happened just a little while ago. Take a listen. We're going to try to keep up some of the images that you're looking at from Sky 7 and take a listen to what officials there in Redwood City are saying.
Lorenzen. I'm the fire chief of the Menlo Park Fire Protection District. We're at the scene of a commercial structure fire at 2700 Middlefield Road. This is an area of North Fair Oaks. It's an unincorporated area of the county that the Menlo Park Fire Protection District protects along with San Mateo County Sheriff. We had reports of a structure fire on the 5th floor of a building under construction at approximately 10:15. Reports initially were fire in the insulation. We got on scene and found thick black smoke emanating from the 5th floor. Immediately it was escalated to a 3rd alarm. The building had been evacuated by all the construction workers that were already on scene. Right now the fire...
Tracy said it earlier in the
That was one of the fire chiefs there in Redwood City. He was describing what was going on, and you're actually looking at images from Redwood City right now. If you're just joining us, this is the 2700 Middlefield Road area of Redwood City, and you can just see it is charred. Not much left. This was a building that was under construction. The supervisor even talking about what they were so excited about with this building was it wasn't just 1-bedroom units or studio units, but it was also 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units that would have been used to house different families in the area. But around 10:15, fire started on the 5th floor. It escalated. They were able to get people out. They were able to evacuate people in the neighborhood, and that is certainly your number one concern in a situation like this. You want to make sure you get people out and you don't have people who are hurt. At last check, when we spoke with officials, it appears that everyone was able to get out, and that is certainly good news. People were evacuated from nearby neighborhoods, around 50 people or so, and then you had the Garfield School that dismissed early today, just to keep kids out of harm's way. I mean, you think of what we have dealt with over the last couple of days here in the Bay Area as you look at this image from Redwood City. But you look back over the weekend, and there was a situation in San Jose over the weekend where 6 different structures burned, and they weren't even right next to each other. They were located on different streets. It was the embers that spread that fire. So when this went up in flames today, you had a situation where you see those flames going up into the air, and there was a hope that those embers wouldn't spread this fire. And that's one of the reasons why there was such a response from firefighters. Hundreds of them responded. These are some of the images that were sent to us on social media. This came in earlier today. I talked with Steve online, who told me that he was going to return his weed whacker. He lives in Menlo Park, but he was out in this area in Redwood City to return his weed whacker and looked up and saw this. This was a location that had 6 stories on it. So, this neighborhood, it just gives you the idea that, the neighborhood is right there. This is also another image from earlier this morning, just after 10:15, when those flames really went up and, really grabbed what it was burning. So certainly a concerning situation all day, continues to be a concerning situation. But for as bad as these images were earlier today, and you see that flame just way up in the air, that's probably why why we got so many reports from people who saw it from some far distances away. Another one of the images, these are interesting images because it gives you almost like a time lapse, and you see all that black smoke, and after a while it turns into white smoke, and the white smoke is really what we are seeing this afternoon. But again, I think it is important to reiterate too that nobody was hurt as far as we know at this hour. This was one of the ground shots from earlier this morning, some of those ground shots, and you can see the firefighters there. I mean, it gets to a point, and been on so many fire scenes over the years, that when a fire is this powerful, they go into what is called a defense mode. And that is basically, they just want to defend other structures. So they do keep water lines on it, but they also keep their distance. It's not like they're going inside to try to put this fire out inside. When it gets to a certain point, they just got to be defensible about it. And that is what we saw earlier today as some of these firefighters just prepared in certain areas. I mean, you see these firefighters standing here, but downwind, they were shooting water at it and trying to make sure that it didn't send embers into another area. Wow, the intense size of that flame. This is an image, and I believe this is a live image right now from Sky 7, showing what it looks like right now. We went from that fireball, seemingly a fireball, to just a charred out look of what was a structure that was going up. This was an affordable housing complex, 179 units of affordable housing, a project that was called Middlefield Junction. And obviously, this puts everything back to the start of that project. You know, you got to get to the bottom. You'll have to clear all this area. But to think that so many different firefighters were able to get in there. They were able to put water on it. They were able to spray it down. And here we are 10, 11, 12, 1, nearly 4 hours later. And that fireball is no longer there. You just have those images of that smoke just drifting into the air. But one thing I think is interesting to look at this, and you can see in the bottom right hand of your screen, they're still spraying some of the water down on this structure. But it's interesting because that smoke is still not going straight up into the air. It's still being blown to the side. And that is something we continue to deal with. We saw it in San Jose yesterday. We saw it over the weekend in San Joaquin County when we had the Corral fire that burned more than 14,000 acres. Those strong winds can be such a danger, and we have now seen that in 3 major fires over the course of the last 3 days. But you can see those powerful streams of water, and they are going to be watering this down for some time today. We do want to go to the press conference that was held earlier within the last hour or so. Some of the officials talking about what they can tell us, basically about the situation. A bit limited in what they could say, but this is what they did say a little while ago.
Mark Lorenzen, Lorenzen. I'm the fire chief of the Menlo Park Fire Protection District. We're at the scene of a commercial structure fire at 2700 Middlefield Road. This is an area of North Fair Oaks. It's an unincorporated area of the county that the Menlo Park Fire Protection District protects along with San Mateo County Sheriff. We had reports of a structure fire on the 5th floor of a building under construction at approximately 10:15. Reports initially were fire in the insulation. We got on scene and found thick black smoke emanating from the 5th floor. Immediately it was escalated to a 3rd alarm. The building had been evacuated by all the construction workers that were already on scene. Right now the fire stands at 8 alarms. That's 26 fire engines, 7 ladder trucks. We also have 10 mutual aid fire engines responding to us immediate need from Santa Clara County, kind of as a contingency plan. Right now the building that the fire was involved in looks like it's going to be a total loss. Our goals right now are to prevent fire spread to the adjacent occupancies. There's still one under construction, and then immediately to the south, the neighborhoods and the homes over there, we have structure protection forces in place. There's probably at least a dozen small little spot fires they've been dealing with on roofs, fences, grass lots. So right now, that's our current plan. No injuries as of this moment. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Sheriff Monahan with San Mateo County Sheriff.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Ryan Monahan with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. I am the Assistant Sheriff, and I'm here on behalf of Sheriff Christina Corpus today. So our role in this is to support fire efforts, primarily in ensuring evacuation and safety for the folks in the immediate area. So when the call came out, our deputies were immediately dispatched to the area. They responded to the scene. We sent deputies from bureaus all over the county. So we had not only deputies that are assigned to the North Fair Oaks area, but deputies assigned throughout our county immediately start responding when we learned of the alarm and the structure that was involved. Deputies quickly got here to the scene. They assessed the need for evacuation, worked with our partners at fire. We set up a unified command post with the fire department so that we could work collaboratively with them and assist them in safety measures. So once we got here, we realized that we were going to need assistance. We're very fortunate here in San Mateo County that we have a very, very strong allied agency partnerships, and we were able to reach out to those allied agencies in the area, and they immediately sent resources to assist us with the evacuation efforts. As of right now, we have an estimated 50 people or so, residents from the adjacent area or in the general vicinity, that some of them were evacuated for precautionary reasons because of their proximity to the fire. Some of them were evacuated because of some of the embers that spread and touched some other locations in the area. So right now we have those folks evacuated. We're very happy to say that those folks are safe. That's our primary concern here, is making sure that our community members here are safe. And our Emergency Services Bureau we have that helps with these types of incidents is working right now hand in hand with the Department of Emergency Management, which is a county department, to find a suitable evacuation point or location for our evacuees to go so they can get the resources that they need. So we're working diligently behind the scenes right now, and we'll be providing updates on where that location is. We're just asking the public right now. The fire department is doing an outstanding job right now, controlling and containing this fire. And so our primary goal here is we want to keep our community members safe. And so we're asking you all, in order to do that, to please stay out of the area. Please let the fire department personnel, our deputies, and all the rest of the first responders out here that are committed to the safety of the scene do their job. And we will be providing updates in a very timely manner to keep people up to date on the evacuations and any other information. Thank you.
Chief, can we ask you a couple of quick questions? It looks like, from a layman's viewpoint, you're making progress. Also, from this vantage point, it looks like 3 buildings. You talked about 2. It looks like, can you quantify that for us as well?
Sure. Yeah, yes, we are making good progress on it. Yeah, it's basically burning all the wood, timbers, and structural members from the interior out. So the fire started on the north end of the building and then was pushed by the winds, basically all the way over to this side. I know from here, it looks like there's multiple buildings involved. It's one building that looked like it was either an L shape or kind of a U-shaped building. So, and then there's a building closer to us that's also under construction. That one is not involved. We're working on structure protection with that also. So it's just one single building that's been involved. It's just a rather large building.
And the difficulties you're having, we're seeing scaffold falling. What are some of the big issues you guys are having?
Sure. Right. The big challenges initially are, there's no firewalls in there. They haven't been constructed yet. So it's just a tinder box, and the fire spreads pretty quickly. We had some decent winds kind of pushing the fire through the building. We recognized early on that this was going to be an exterior attack, as we call it, defensive, because there's almost no way to stop it, and we want to ensure that we don't harm our firefighters also. So, that's our current plan, is to stay back far enough so if it collapses, we're out of the collapse zone. It's one thing we don't want to do on a building that's already been determined a loss, is to hurt anybody, injure anyone. And so, just like I had said earlier, exposures are our primary goal. Protecting those, that's the building under construction, and then the neighborhood just to the south.
Chief, can you talk to me a little bit more about these spot fires that you say you're fighting? Where exactly are they, if you know, and what mutual aid did you get from what department?
Oh, sure, yeah. As the sheriff was saying earlier, our mutual aid system up here is very robust. The initial response from all of our allied departments in San Mateo County was robust. That's where the 26 engines and 7 ladder trucks came from, is all just here internally. We have the 10 additional engines coming from a mutual aid partner, Santa Clara County to the south. What was the rest of your question?
The spot fires.
Oh, the spot fires. Yeah, the spot fires in the neighborhood. It's interesting. I was walking over through there, and there was large pieces of insulation that had melted, were on fire, caught part of that thermal column, and floated into the neighborhood, and were causing fires anywhere. In a grass lot, in somebody's collection of items there, on roofs. You know, and it was just kind of indiscriminate throughout the community over here. So those are the spot fires that we're dealing with.
And you had said fire in the insulation was the first report. Obviously, you can't really tell the cause, but are you still thinking that it was, you know, not a piece of equipment that was left on, or?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we have fire cause investigators out here right now. Hopefully, there were eyewitnesses to it. That will be helpful for us in determining the cause. Those were just the initial reports. Whether they're accurate or not, I can't attest to those. But those were the initial reports. So, and as we know, on a construction site, there's usually quite a bit of equipment. Sometimes there's hot work going on. So, but we'll do a thorough, diligent investigation and report back to you when we have a cause.
And it was fully operational and working at the time of this program?
Yes.
Can you kind of touch on this, but just how dangerous the risk of embers spreading is? I mean, we just saw a worst case scenario with that yesterday in San Jose.
I mean, it's what we were dealing with here. It's very interesting. Typically, on a large structure fire, we're not dealing with structure protection in the neighborhoods next door, but it reminds us a little bit of fire season and wildland fires. The embers, whether they're from insulation or from vegetation, really work just the same. And so here we are in the middle of a urban-suburban area dealing with what we saw yesterday in San Joaquin Valley is, fire spread through embers and winds. So those are obviously our two biggest threats right now.
What kind of risk does the crane...
If any of the scaffolding is falling, any of the planks, has any of that collapsed?
I think some of it has, not very much of it.
Is there a risk with the crane?
Whether or not any of the scaffolding has come down.
And with the crane, is that like a risk also with fire burning around it?
There's not a current risk. It would be a big risk if the fire spread to that building that the crane is next to.
Okay, so the crane is with the building that is not the affordable
Right.
housing.
The crane is in the uninvolved. It may still be a housing building, but it's in an uninvolved separate building.
Last question. There were any workers inside the building when the fire started?
As far as I could tell, when I got here, they were all evacuating. It looked like there was well over 100 construction workers, so I would imagine there were. Like I said, we'll see whether or not we had any eyewitnesses to the fire start.
Thank you all.
You were listening to officials down in Menlo Park, Redwood City area, firefighters and police officers talking about the situation that you're looking at in Redwood City, a situation, and we're going to recap it here. We have been talking about this for hours on end. This is at 2700 Middlefield Road in Redwood City. This was a construction site, and at 10:15 or just before 10:15 this morning, fire started on the 5th floor, and that fire quickly spread. And we saw that in some of the images today, but you can see it's gotten to this point today where there is no longer a massive fireball shooting hundreds of feet into the air. There is now a charred location. This was supposed to be a 179-unit affordable housing project called the Middlefield Junction, and it has been destroyed. We did receive word from firefighters and police that at last check, it doesn't appear as though anyone was hurt. There were evacuations of people who live in the area, around 50 of them on 3 different streets. And there was a school, Garfield School, that dismissed early. They were able to get the kids out of school. They were able to evacuate those neighborhoods. They updated us during that press conference to say that those people were all safe. And I believe those people are able to go back to their homes, but I can't be certain on that at this point as we continue to receive information. But you know, when Sky 7, and this is a live picture of Sky 7 right now, zooms in, you really get an idea of the extent of this damage. They described this location as not having any firewalls. They weren't there in the process of building this location yet. And so they described it as a tinderbox that just went up in flames. And really anybody who was within several miles of this location, I mean, I was getting pictures and video from people obviously who live in that neighborhood, but also folks who were several miles away who could see this from a distance. That is how intense it was this morning in Redwood City. But to see that firefighters who were able to take a defensible approach to things were able to get it to where it is now is certainly a thumbs up in the right direction at this point. We are going to leave this location We are going to leave this shot on your screen for the afternoon. We're going to continue to take this live picture from Sky 7 so you can get a better look at things. I will be anchoring the 3 p.m. show today, and we have some guests to talk about this. We have a crew that is on the ground in this location, has been talking with people out there today. You'll hear, I believe it's Zach Fuentes is down there. You'll hear what the situation is on the ground there at 3 o'clock today. We will also have experts too, because I know a lot of people are asking, this is 3 days, 3 massive fires within 100 miles or so of one another. What is the situation? We'll talk with some experts about why we are seeing these fire conditions right now. As we leave you with this shot, we'll see you at 3 o'clock, and we will continue to follow this story. Have a great afternoon, everybody.